Mom dragged home 2 greasy sausages from the gas station. She'd make my sister Bella and me draw straws to decide who got them. Every damn time I pulled the short straw and like clockwork, Bella pulled the long one. She got both sausages. If I dared to bitch about it, Mom would huff, roll her eyes and bark. I bought this drawing kit specifically to keep things square, so you wouldn't whine. I wanted to be fair. But rules are rules, Harper. It ain't my fault. Your luck sucks. This bullshit went on until my birthday. Bella wanted to go to Six Flags, and Mom predictably made us draw straws to decide who got to pick the destination for the day. This time, I'd had enough. I secretly glued 2 short straws together with super glue, pretending I'd drawn the long one. Mom's hand connected with my face like a baseball bat. You cheating little shit, she screamed, her face twisting into pure, ugly rage. She grabbed Bella's hand and stormed out of the trailer, leaving me crumpled on the linoleum floor. The short plastic straw I'd been clutching had snapped and pierced straight into the side of my neck. Something hot and wet sprayed over my hair. I tried to wipe it away, but my limbs felt heavy. Then suddenly light as a feather. I watched the ceiling fade away as I floated upward. That's when it hit me. I was dead. Footsteps thumped outside my bedroom door. When I didn't open it, the doorknob rattled violently. Bulking won't save your ass, Mom yelled through the wood. You had bad luck and pulled the short straw. Own it. God. You're growing up to be such a bitch giving me this attitude. Bella's voice whined from the hallway. Mom, come on. The park is gonna get crowded. Mom gave up on the door. I heard her snatch the car keys off the counter. We'll be out late. Don't expect us for dinner. There's a cold drumstick on the table. Eat that and don't say I'm not fair. Your sister hasn't had it either. This time, I ain't even making you draw for it. Consider it a handout. The fried chicken leg on the table was stale, left over from yesterday's bucket. Mom had made us draw for it then, too. I got the short one. Obviously. I hadn't tasted meat in weeks. Yesterday when I reached for it, Mom had slapped my hand so hard it swelled up instantly. Did you forget the damn rules? She'd screeched. Short straw loses. That chicken is Bella's. Touch it again and I'll break your fingers. But today she was graciously letting me have the scraps. Except she forgot one thing. I was a ghost now. I tried to grab the chicken, but my hand passed right through it. A mangy stray cat with a torn ear squeezed through the open window, snatched the drumstick and hissed at me before bolting. I couldn't stop it. I could only curl up in the corner of my filthy room, sobbing without tears. I lost track of time before Dad, Mom and Bella came back. They looked disgusting, sweaty, loud and glowing with a happiness that made me sick. Mom, that giant stuffed unicorn is so fluffy. I love it. Can we get ice cream now? Bella chirped. Mom kissed her forehead, leaving a smudge of lipstick. Mommy's tapped out for cash, sweetie. Bella scoffed and pushed her away. Don't kiss me then. We haven't drawn straws for a kiss. What if Harper sees? She'll bitch about it being unfair again. He's probably rotting in her room crying right now. It is her birthday, I guess. Mom glanced at the table. The chicken bone was gone. She let out a dry, cruel cackle. If she could pull a long straw for once, I'd kiss her, too. But the girls cursed. Besides, look. She ate the chicken. She's just being a petty brat hiding in there. Bella, your sister has a small heart. Don't waste your time worrying about her. No one could see me. No one knew. My corpse was cooling in a pool of blood behind my bedroom door. Mom started banging pots and pans, making a midnight snack. She shouted toward my room in a mocking sing-song tone. Hey, Your Highness. Sure you don't want to come out and draw straws. I'm making mac and cheese with bacon. Don't come crying later that you didn't get any. Dad slumped on the couch with a beer, grunted. Why bother if she ain't playing? Just make what Bella likes. Let the ungrateful little shit starve. We raised her and this is the thanks we get attitude. I stood next to him screaming silently. What difference does drawing make? For 10 years, the dinner table was a shrine to Bella's taste buds. I lived on white rice and scraps. But at least they didn't let me starve to death, right? Until today. Mom made Bella a feast. The three of them sat there laughing. Mouths full of food. I drifted closer to the table and saw a white box on the chair. A cake. I turned to the stray cat, which had brazenly returned to the windowsill. See that? They bought a birthday cake. They didn't forget. The cat looked at me with yellow eyes that seemed to say, "You idiot." Mom handed the cake box to Bella. "You wanted to try this bakery, right? Got it just for you. But eat it in your room. If Harper sees it, she'll throw a tantrum. I was crying, but not because of the cake. I was crying because I realized the truth. Even if I played their game, I never stood a chance. Have you ever tasted cake? I asked the cat. Suddenly, the beast leaped into the room, swiped the box out of Bella's hands and tore it open, burying its face in the frosting before darting back. Out the window, Bella shrieked as the cat scratched her arm. She burst into fake dramatic tears. Mom grabbed a glass vase and hurled it at my bedroom door, shattering it against the wood. Harper, you did that on purpose. Didn't you? Why the hell didn't you close the window? When I didn't answer, Mom looked ready to kill. But Dad grabbed her arm. Leave her. Let's get Bella to the for that scratch. They didn't come back until 3:00 am. They banged on my door. When I didn't answer, Dad grabbed a hammer, threatening to smash the lock. But the neighbor, old Mrs. Gable, started pounding on the wall, screaming about the noise. He cursed me out through the door one last time and went to bed. The next morning, Mom came home with a new princess dress for Bella. Bella twirled in the living room, preening like a peacock. I cried when I got my tetanus shot. So Mom felt bad. We went shopping and had steak for lunch. You've never had steak, have you, Harper? Sucks to be you. My blood had started to seep under the door gap. Bella stepped right in it. She slipped hard. Thump. She screamed, bringing both parents running. What the hell? Where is this coming from? Dad stared at the dark, sticky puddle, his face pale. It looks like it's coming from Harper's room. Oh, it smells like rusty metal. Bella wailed. Mom exploded. She kicked the door, shaking the frame. Harper, get your ass out here. You made your sister bleed and now you're hiding. Open this fucking door. Mom was going for the kill. This time, she kicked again and again. My body, lying just on the other side, was being slammed by the door with every kick. The lock held. Mom had to drag Bella to the bathroom to wash the filth off her. I floated downstairs and saw something that made my ghost form tremble. The drawing kit, the box they used for the straws, had fallen off the shelf during the commotion. It had cracked open. I looked inside. There were no long straws. Every single straw in that box was cut short. They never loved me, not even a little bit. The game was just a condom for their conscience. A way to screw me over while pretending to be fair. After the second hospital trip, Mom and Dad started treating me like a ghost. Before they even knew I was one. They stopped setting a plate for me. They stopped calling my name. They just focused on spoiling Bella rotten. This went on for days until the stench became undeniable. Mrs. Gable knocked on the front door looking green. Brenda, my apartment smells like something died in your vents. And I haven't seen Harper in a week. Mom marched to my door and hammered on it. Harper, did you take a crap in your room? Are you trying to shame me? Make the neighbors think I'm running a pigsty. Silence. Mrs. Gable looked worried. Maybe we should call the super or the police. Kid can't live in there without food for a week. I looked at Mom, hoping for a flicker of worry. I got nothing but disgust. She put Bella in the hospital twice this week, with her hexes and bad vibes. She's fine. Bella is the victim here. After she left, Mom scraped the leftovers into the trash. You wanna starve? Fine. Starve. I'm calling the school tomorrow to withdraw you. Keeping you home will save me lunch money. Anyway, my body was decomposing rapidly. The The smell was thick, flowing like rotten meat and old cheese. Even Mom and Dad were gagging. Spraying air freshener everywhere. They convinced themselves I was just being a filthy animal. Refusing to use the bathroom. Mrs. Gable couldn't take it. She called the cops. When Mom saw blue lights flashing outside, she went ballistic. Who called the pigs? Did we kill someone? No. This is harassment, ma'am. The officer said, stepping into the hallway. Wrinkling his nose. Immediately. We have a report of a child possibly being held against their will. She's locking herself in, Mom shrieked. She's mentally unstable. She's disgusting. The cops weren't listening. They smelled death. Open the door. Ma'am, now. No, she's naked. She's acting out. Dad tried to play the good guy. Let Harper explain herself so we can stop this charade. The officer didn't wait. He kicked the door. Near the lock crack, the door swung open. The stench hit them like a physical blow. Flies buzzed out in a black cloud. The silence that followed the door swinging open wasn't peaceful, it was heavy, suffocating, and violent. The officer who had kicked the door recoiled, his hand flying to his mouth as the scent of my decay rolled out like a physical wave. It was the smell of forgotten meat, of something sweet turning rancid. Jesus Christ, the officer choked out, stumbling back into the hallway. My mother, Brenda, didn't gasp. She didn't scream my name. She craned her neck around the officer's shoulder, her nose wrinkled not in grief, but in annoyance. Oh, for God's sake, she snapped, her voice shrill and cutting through the tension. Look at that mess. Harper. Get up. You've ruined the linoleum. She tried to push past the cop, her high heels clicking on the floorboards, but the officer grabbed her arm. His grip wasn't gentle this time. It was iron. Ma'am, do not enter that room, he ordered, his voice trembling with a mix of adrenaline and horror. He looked back at his partner, a younger female officer who had gone pale. Call it in. Homicide. And get CPS here. Now. Homicide? Dad sputtered, his face flushing red. Now hold on a minute. The girl's she's playing dead. She's dramatic. It's a stunt for attention. I stood, floated, rather, by the shattered doorframe. I looked down at my own body. I looked small. Smaller than I felt when I was alive. The dried blood formed a dark halo around my head, matting my hair to the floor. The straw was still there, protruding from my neck like a grotesque lollipop stick. I'm not playing, Dad, I whispered, though they couldn't hear me. I finally won the short straw. Bella was peeking out from behind Dad's leg. She saw my gray hand, the way my skin had started to marble. She didn't cry. She looked at Mom. Does this mean we can't go to the movies? The female officer stared at Bella with an expression of pure revulsion. You people are sick, she muttered. As the house swarmed with forensics, I watched them move through the trailer. They photographed the lock on the outside of my door. They bagged the bucket of stale chicken bones. And then, the male officer, Officer Miller, his badge said, stepped on something in the living room. He looked down. It was the box. The drawing kit. The cardboard had split open when Mom kicked the door earlier, spilling the contents. Miller crouched down, using a pen to sift through the pile of plastic straws. He frowned. He picked one up with his gloved hand. Then another. Then another. Hey, Roberts, Miller called out. Come look at this. The female officer walked over. What is it? The parents, they said they made the kids draw straws to settle disputes, right? Miller held up 2 straws. They were identical. Both barely 2 inches long. There are 50 straws in this pile, Roberts. Every single one of them has been cut. I drifted closer, hovering over their shoulders. There are no long straws, Miller said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. The kid never had a chance. The game was rigged. Roberts looked from the straws to the closed door of the police cruiser outside, where Mom and Dad were currently screaming about their rights. That's not just abuse, she said softly. That's torture. A strange sensation washed over me. Rage, yes, but something else. Validation. The secret was out. The little plastic lie that had defined my miserable existence was sitting in an evidence bag. But as I watched them haul my parents away in handcuffs, Mom screaming that I was an ungrateful corpse for framing her, I realized something. Jail wasn't enough. The legal system was slow. It was full of plea deals and parole. I looked at the scattered short straws on the floor. I concentrated. I remembered the feeling of the super glue on my fingers. I remembered the injustice burning in my gut. Move, I commanded. One of the straws on the carpet twitched. It rolled an inch to the left. I smiled, a cold, dead smile. I could touch things. And if I could touch things, I could play. Bella didn't last 2 days in foster care before the trouble started. She was placed with the Millers, ironically, no relation to the officer, a nice, older couple who took in emergency cases. They gave her a room with a window, a bed with a pink quilt, and a hot meal. I was there, sitting on the wardrobe, watching. I don't want peas, Bella announced, pushing her plate away. Mom never makes me eat green things. Mrs. Miller smiled patiently. Well, Bella, we eat our vegetables here. It helps you grow strong. I want ice cream, Bella demanded. And I want to watch TV. After dinner, Mr. Miller said firmly. Bella's eyes narrowed. She reached into her pocket. She had swiped a handful of straws from a juice box dispenser at the social worker's office. She slammed 2 of them onto the table. Let's draw for it, she said, mimicking Mom's arrogant tone perfectly. Long straw, I get ice cream and no peas. Short straw, I eat the peas. The Millers exchanged a worried look. They knew the history. Bella, we don't do that here, Mrs. Miller said gently. I said draw. Bella screamed, her face turning red. I dropped from the wardrobe. I hovered right behind Bella's ear. The air in the kitchen dropped 10 degrees. The condensation on the water pitcher froze. Do it, I whispered into the static of the room. Play the game, Bella. Mr. Miller sighed, trying to de-escalate. Fine. If it stops the shouting. But just this once. Bella smirked. She arranged the straws in her fist, hiding the ends. She knew the trick. She had watched Mom do it 1,000 times. She held one slightly higher, the one she wanted him to pick. Mr. Miller reached out. I slammed my ghostly hand down on his wrist. He flinched, his hand jerking to the left, grabbing the straw Bella hadn't intended him to take. He pulled. It was long. Bella froze. She stared at the straw in her own hand. It was short. No, she whispered. That's wrong. You cheated. I did no such thing, Mr. Miller said, surprised. Well, rules are rules, sweetie. Eat your peas. No. Bella shrieked, sweeping the plate off the table. It shattered against the wall. I always win. Mom makes sure I always win. That night, as Bella slept, I went to work. I found the box of straws in the kitchen drawer. I took a pair of scissors sitting on the counter. The metal felt heavy, my spirit straining to lift the physical object, but my anger gave me strength. Snip. 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 I cut every single straw in the house to less than an inch. When Bella woke up for breakfast, she found her favorite cereal bowl filled not with milk and loops, but with hundreds of tiny, jagged plastic shards. And written in the spilled sugar on the table were 3 words. Your luck sucks. Bella screamed. It was music to my ears. 3 months later, the trial of the state versus Brenda and Gary Vance began. They had pleaded not guilty. Their lawyer, a sleazy court-appointed man named Fletcher, was trying to argue that my death was a freak accident and that lock-in was a safety measure for a troubled child. I sat in the gallery, unseen, sandwiched between Mrs. Gable and a reporter from the local paper. Mom looked different. She had lost weight. Her roots were showing. But her eyes were still the same, hard, black flints of coal. Dad just looked tired, slumped over like a sack of potatoes. The prosecution brought out the evidence. The photos of my room. The bucket of bones. The autopsy report showing I weighed 60 pounds at age 14. The jury looked sick. But Fletcher was good. Ladies and gentlemen, he paced. Bad parenting is not murder. Did they make mistakes? Yes. But did they hold the straw that killed Harper? No. That was an accident. A tragic, 1 in a million accident. He was creating doubt. I could see it in the jurors' faces. They hated my parents, but they weren't sure they could convict them of murder. Manslaughter, maybe. A few years in prison. Then they'd be out. Mom smirked at the jury. She was playing the victim. She dabbed at dry eyes with a tissue. I couldn't let this happen. During the recess, I followed Mom to the holding cell bathroom. She was washing her face, muttering to herself. Stupid brat, she hissed at her reflection. Ruining my life even when she's dead. I should have buried her in the woods. I stood behind her. I focused all my energy on the pipes in the wall. The rusty, decaying plumbing of the old courthouse. Burst. A pipe overhead groaned. Mom looked up. What the? The pipe exploded. But it didn't spray water. It sprayed raw, black sewage. It blasted her with the force of a fire hose. She shrieked, slipping on the filth, crashing hard onto the wet tile. She scrambled up, covered in slime, gagging. Help! Help me! She rushed to the door, pounding on it. The guard opened it, took one look at her covered in human waste, and gagged. I need new clothes, she screamed. I can't go into court like this. We don't have anything else, Mrs. Vance, the guard said, holding his nose. And the judge is waiting. Mom had to walk back into that courtroom smelling worse than my corpse had. The stench filled the room. The jury covered their mouths. The judge looked revolted. It stripped away her mask. She wasn't the grieving mother anymore. She was a filthy, screeching monster. But I wasn't done. When Dad took the stand, he tried to lie. We loved Harper. We fed her. The drawing straws, it was just a game. Fair and square. I was standing on the witness stand, right next to the microphone. As he spoke, I pressed my cold, dead hands against his throat. Not enough to choke him, but enough to make him feel the ice of the grave. He stuttered. He grabbed his neck. It was fair, he wheezed. I pushed harder. I whispered into his ear, a sound only he could hear. Short straw loses, Dad. Short straw loses. His eyes rolled back in terror. He saw me. For a split second, he saw the rotting girl standing next to him. She's here, he screamed, leaping up and overturning the chair. She's here. Get her away from me. Mr. Vance, sit down, the judge boomed. No. She's got a straw. She's going to stab me. Dad was flailing, fighting invisible demons. It was Brenda's idea. It was all Brenda. She made the straws. She glued them. She told me to starve her. Don't kill me, Harper, kill her. The courtroom gasped. Fletcher buried his face in his hands. Mom stood up, sewage dripping from her hair. You spineless worm. Shut up. You killed her. Dad pointed a trembling finger at Mom. You watched her bleed out and you went to get ice cream. Order. Order. The gavel banged, but it was over. They had turned on each other. The game was up. They didn't get murder one. They got aggravated manslaughter, child abuse, neglect, and a laundry list of other charges. The judge gave them the maximum. 25 years. It should have felt like a victory. But as I watched them being led away, Mom still blaming Dad, Dad weeping like a child, I felt empty. 25 years. They would still be alive when they got out. They would still breathe, eat, and see the sun. And Bella? Bella was still Bella. She had bounced through 3 foster homes. She had learned to hide her cruelty better. She played the traumatized victim for the therapists, then stole money from the other kids. She still carried a pack of straws in her bag, a compulsion she couldn't shake. I visited her one night at her latest group home. She was 16 now. Almost an adult. She was looking in the mirror, applying lipstick she had shoplifted. I'm going to get out of here, she told her reflection. I'm going to be famous. And I won't ever have to draw for anything again. I appeared in the mirror behind her. I didn't make myself look like a corpse this time. I looked like I did before I died, skinny, pale, sad. Bella froze. She dropped the lipstick. Harper. Hello, sister. She spun around, but I wasn't there. I was back in the mirror. You're not real, she shook, backing away. You're dead. Mom said you're rotting. Mom lied about a lot of things, Bella. But she was right about one thing. Rules are rules. What do you want? Bella cried. Leave me alone. It wasn't my fault. I didn't make the rules. You ate the cake, Bella. You ate the chicken. You watched me starve. You knew. I was a kid. So was I. I made the straws in her bag rattle. They flew out, swirling around the room like a swarm of angry hornets. Bella screamed, shielding her face. One last game, Bella. For old time's sake. The straws dropped to the floor. They arranged themselves. 2 straws. Pick. No. Pick, or I never leave. I will stand by your bed every night. I will make every bite of food you eat taste like rot. I will make every person you love see your true face. Bella was sobbing. She reached down, her hand shaking. She grabbed a straw. It was long. She let out a breath, a hysterical laugh bubbling up. I won. I won. See? I always win. Look again. She looked at the straw. It was turning black in her hand. It disintegrated into ash, staining her fingers, her palm, her arm. The black stain spread like ink under her skin. There are no long straws, Bella. Not anymore. 10 years later. State penitentiary. The medical ward. Brenda Vance was dying. The prison food, the stress, and the isolation had eaten her alive from the inside out. Cancer, the doctors said. Bad luck, she said. She lay in the infirmary bed, handcuffed to the rail. She looked like a skeleton wrapped in parchment. The guard let a visitor in. You have 10 minutes. Bella walked in. She was 26, but she looked 40. The black stain that had started on her hand that night hadn't killed her, but it had ruined her. A rare necrotic condition, the doctors called it. They had to amputate her arm at the elbow. Then her leg. She rolled in on a wheelchair, her face gaunt, her eyes hollow. Hi, Mom, Bella said, her voice raspy. Brenda turned her head. Look at you, she sneered weakly. You look terrible. Thanks, Bella said bitterly. You look like hell. They treat me like a dog here, Brenda wheezed. The food is cold. The bed is hard. It's not fair. Fair, Bella laughed, a dry, hacking sound. We don't talk about fair. Get me out of here, Bella. Get a lawyer. Appeal. I can't, Mom. I'm broke. I live in a state facility. Nobody wants a cripple. The lights in the infirmary flickered. The heart monitor beeped erratically. I stepped out of the shadows in the corner of the room. Neither of them seemed surprised to sense a presence. They had lived in my shadow for a decade. Time to go, Mom, I whispered. Brenda's eyes widened. She stared at the ceiling. Harper. She's here, Bella said dully. She's always here. I materialized at the foot of the bed. I held a box. The old, battered drawing kit. Brenda tried to pull away, rattling the handcuffs. Get away from me. I'm your mother. We have a dispute to settle, Mom. Who gets to go to hell, and who has to stay here and rot a little longer? I opened the box. 2 straws stuck out. Draw. I'm not playing your game. Brenda shrieked, her heart rate monitor spiking. Nurse. Nurse. Rules are rules, Brenda. An invisible force gripped her hand, the hand she used to slap me, the hand she used to lock my door. It forced her arm up. She grabbed a straw. She pulled. It was a short straw. She stared at it. Short straw loses. No, she gasped. No, I. Her heart stopped. The monitor flatlined with a long, piercing wail. Her eyes remained open, frozen in a look of pure, terrified realization. I turned to Bella. Bella didn't flinch. She looked at the dead body of her mother, then up at me. My turn, she asked softly. I looked at my sister. The golden child who had turned into lead. She had suffered. She had lost her beauty, her health, her mother. She was living in a prison of her own body. I closed the box. No, I said. You pulled the long straw, Bella. You get to live. Bella looked at the empty room, at the wheelchair, at her stump of an arm. She began to cry. Not fake tears. Real, agonizing tears of despair. Please, she begged. Don't make me stay. There's no one left. I'm all alone. That's the prize, I told her as I began to fade, the ceiling finally opening up for me, a light that wasn't fluorescent waiting above. You got everything you wanted. You got both sausages. You got the cake. You got the life. Enjoy it. I drifted upward, leaving the heavy, rancid air of the earth behind. Below me, the wail of the flat line mixed with Bella's sobbing, a harmony of misery that finally, after all these years, felt perfectly, mathematically square. I was free. And for the first time, luck had nothing to do with it.